There's usually a...
Okay.
Hello.
We are live.
We're live on Women's LIK. And welcome, everybody. It's great to see Sandra and Suzy. Our guests, welcome to Women's LIK. And LIK stands for Laughs, Ideas and Knowledge. And we're certainly going to be doing a lot of laughing, giving you a lot of knowledge. And if we come up with some ideas, that's even better. So just to let you know, we've got an extraordinary guest. I say extraordinary because she's just done so much in the last 20 years of her career. Her name's Yvonne Witter. She is joining us today. She's a writer, she's an author, she does work in enterprise, she does education. There's so much that Yvonne has actually done over her time, and she'll be coming on as our guest later on. So we'll have a quick chat and just find out how are you ladies? I'm just thinking today would have ordinarily been Carnival weekend.
I know.
Yeah.
And for 2 years we've not had Carnival. And I love a Carnival. Love the music, love the atmosphere. I would have been going to Leeds had it been going on today, so it just feels a bit...
When was the last time that you went to the Notting Hill Carnival then?
Oh, well over 15 years ago.
Goodness.
Well,
I've got to be
so...
honest with you. I did go in, I think it was 2019. I enjoyed bits of it. I didn't enjoy it as much as, because it sort of changed. I hadn't been for years.
Yes.
And it has really changed. I think, obviously I got older and the younger people, their attitude was different. They didn't appreciate it as much, but it was my own vision of that. It's still great, but in the sort of pockets of it, but some of it had changed. And even my husband, he was quite shocked. He said, well, it's not the same, is it? So it's...
I think that's very much about us getting older. I remember going to Carnival when my daughter, who is now 28, was in a pushchair, and we got to a log jam of people under the arches at Ladbroke Grove, and there was you couldn't move backward, forward anyway, and somehow I got in there with the pushchair, and we just couldn't move. We were locked in, and so I just took her out of the buggy and handed her to someone else, and she was half above people's heads, and I picked her up later, and the atmosphere was amazing, and it was like a real community thing. And I don't know if I'd have done that a couple of years ago, but I think that is probably, you have a different perspective on safety, on everything as you get older. And I look back, and there's a photograph of me. I've got a can of something in my hand, and the pushchair.
Was that Kenneth Tennant's, Suzy?
Well, I wouldn't want to promote any brand, but certainly, you look back and think, wow, I did that. Would I do it now? I'm not sure. And I went to a reggae festival a couple of years ago, Milton Keynes, and that was my level of, it was nice. It wasn't crowded and hectic. So I think you can still kind of have that vibe, but maybe not necessarily Notting Hill. But, it's still there. It's still amazing. And it's, you miss it.
Definitely. I feel sorry for the people that are missing out on it. I've got to be honest with you. I had a really late night last night. I went to a party in the park, which is a local thing in Buckinghamshire where I live. And there were lots of people there, thousands of people. And it was fab. And I spent all day in a park, 7 hours in a park from 3 till 10 in a park, just literally sat on a blanket. But when I got home, you talked about knowledge. For some odd reason, I have to say odd reason, I was watching a program about Papua New Guinea, and it wouldn't stop me from watching it. So interesting. And I couldn't go to bed until I watched it, but had finished watching it. It was about sort of midnight, but it just wore me up. But I was gaining so much information about this country. And I didn't know, it was just keeping me watching. So I just had to sit there and watch it. I was like, why am I watching this? But no, that's a bit of
Have you got one thing that stuck out for you?
Well, on a sort of negative side.
Because I don't know anything about Papua New Guinea.
Well, they said it was one of the poorest countries, and obviously it's near to Australia, it's sort of above Australia. It was said to be one of the poorest countries, but it's got a lot of character, put it that way, and a lot of history. But the people seem happy in themselves. They don't know that they're, they are happy because you don't know what you haven't got, if that makes sense.
Yes,
People seem happy and to be surviving and battling through. But it was so interesting, really, really interesting.
Talking about surviving and battling is that, there's so much bad news in the world at the moment. It does make you really, really appreciate what you've got. I mean, I'm thinking of Haiti, because Haiti had another earthquake, and they're one of the I think it's in the top 3, if not number 1, of the world's poorest countries in the
for
whole.
A long time. For a long
it's so
time.
sad. It's sad.
And before this last earthquake, they were already, just making a living on a day-to-day, hand-to-mouth basis.
Yeah.
And then you've got all this stuff happening in Afghanistan, and you just think, just by where you happen to be born in the world can really shape your whole life. So I'm just kind of really grateful that wow,
we're here, and
reasonably.
Definitely, you can't pass any judgment, because you can't say, oh, that person's behaving that way, that person's behaving that way. We've each been brought up in our own sort of bubble, haven't we? And that's how whatever how you're nurtured is how you will be. It is what it is. But I'm thinking about all the families, anyone that has lost anyone, thinking of the families today. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And I had I worked for my very beginning of my psychotherapy career, as part of my placement. I worked with refugee and asylum seekers, so I've heard the horrific stories. They were from Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan as well. So I had an interpreter who was from Afghanistan, so I've got in touch with him to kind of see how things are going for him, and how, because he's got family over there that he's quite worried about. So hearing it firsthand, rather than listening to all the stuff that's going on in the news. And I know sometimes it can be, they choose what they put out, but I wanted to kind of hear it from
directly from that person.
From that person. But it's
a story that kind of got to me as well was the animals that were rescued. They were apparently animals of soldiers, and they flew the animals out as part of the evacuation. And so we were having sort of discussions about animals versus people. I'm an animal lover. I love animals. But that's a really difficult decision to make, isn't it?
It's a difficult one. And for me, it is people first for me, but I still love animals too. I had a pet. I've always had pets, so it's a difficult one, and I'm never ever putting any. But for me, it's people first. But I still love animals and want them to be rescued too. So it's a bit of both for me.
Yes.
So it's a difficult decision.
Lots of complexity, but we're all here today, and it's something. Just that the fact we're here and we can have a conversation, and we're not worried about anything like bombs or anything like that. So
or not having any food, or not having water, or all those kind of things. Just very quickly before we bring our guest on, my son said to me, he's 18, he's getting ready to go off to university. That's another thing. He said to me, Mum, would you take in any refugees if they were to come in the country? I said, actually, I would. Straight away, and I'm not quite sure. I don't know what that would entail, how that would be, but immediately I just kind of thought, like, going back to what you were saying, Sandra, it's about people first. And I'm thinking about the children, because I do a lot of work with therapy with children. I just kind of think, it's not great. However, life's still going on, and here we are today. We just want to brought the energy down a little bit. So, we're excited. We're excited to be here, and we're excited to kind of like bring on our guest. So without further ado, we'll invite Yvonne Witter to join us. And Yvonne.
Welcome, Yvonne. Hello.
Welcome, Yvonne. And just before we start, Yvonne, there's just so much that you've done in the past 20 years. And I'm stuttering because I'm thinking that I don't think we could cover all what you've done in the day. And we've only got an hour to compact a lot of things in there, because you are an award-winning speaker, an author, a researcher, an enterprise consultant, working across 6 continents, helping people to reach their potential. And you're coming today to kind of share with us as well a new book that you've written, which we'll talk about later. So welcome to Women's LIK. It's great to see you.
Thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here, sharing the space with you today. So, with all of you. So,
thank you for joining us. So, Yvonne, let's kick off. I know that with COVID, it's been a challenging time for everybody over the last 18 months. Can you tell us what's it been like for you whilst we were in lockdown, and the work that you've been doing or were doing up until that point? How has it been impacted?
Well, COVID's been an interesting time. On one level, it's been brutal because I was shielding and feeling a bit isolated. And I work for as a consultant for a company based in London, in North London, the Belly Initiative. And it's kind of weird because so much stuff blew up because they're a third sector organization, and we were doing a lot of work around COVID and the Black community, how COVID's impacting the Black community. So I wrote the report from a conversation with the Minister for Health, one of the junior ministers. What's her name again? I can't remember. Menopause brain. We've got a lot of that today. You'll get a lot of that today.
I'll join you with that, Mivon.
Dido, oh, good. Thank you. I've got company. Dido Harding. Sometimes it's
Dido. Yes.
Again. So I'm just putting you on notice. Menopause brain is active. Okay. So just be prepared for that in the next 40 minutes or whatever. So anyway, Dido Harding is the person.
Yes.
So it was her and some of her team from the NHS met with the community. I think Patrick Vernon was in that conversation. Yvonne Field, definitely. Anyway, so I wrote the report based on that. And there were just lots of other things I had to do. I did some other reports as well. I think the Prime Minister had some kind of consultation. So COVID got me quite busy. We also had to administer COVID recovery funds and support Black organisations who are in crisis. I'm not in London at the moment. I'm in the north. That's another story. But I was coordinating Your Belly North, so talking to groups in the north of England who are impacted by COVID, Black and minoritized organizations, and doing work with them around capacity building, and kind of supporting them. So that was COVID for me. But on the other hand, it was kind of brutal because I went stir crazy after a while with the isolation.
Because you were working from home.
I've been working from home for a long time. Yeah.
Okay. So there's pluses and minuses for you for over the COVID time.
Yes. I mean, a lot of my friends people I know lost relatives and friends and stuff. So it's been difficult.
It's been difficult, hasn't it? Yeah. I know we've had conversation and reading some of the things that about some of your work, but you spent some time living abroad when you were younger. Where were you, and how was that? What was the impact of that, kind of leaving England and going to Jamaica?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was called a shifted child. So I was adopted, and my parents, I was obviously within the extended family, but my parents had no children, and so they decided to go back to Jamaica. And I was about 10 years old, nine, I think. And I was very excited by the idea. They sold the house in Tooting, had one of those big houses now. In Tooting, they're like, I think there are 3 apartments now. Each apartment probably worth about $1 million. So had they done different, that could have been quite sweet now. But anyway, they must have got about 14 grand for it at the time, which was a whole load of money.
Wow.
And my father went on ahead because they built a house. And they opened up a bar and restaurant. Not they did. Sorry, I was a kid. I had to work in it every Saturday. I took stock, and every holiday. I never had a holiday. I was just writing this morning about the legacy of enslavement and working hard, and I've got a nice therapist who was telling me about this thing about work ethic, because I'm a workaholic, and she was kind of pointing out to me that we don't have to work like that anymore because we're kind of free. But it's come a bit late.
It takes a while to realise.
Yeah, it's come a bit late for me. But anyway, so my parents set up this restaurant and bar in St. Thomas on the East Coast. Beautiful view of the sea. And I mean, I at the time I didn't actually acknowledge it. For many years later, I didn't acknowledge that I actually grew up in an environment of small business and entrepreneurship. The rest of my family followed suit, and some round about in the 70s. I mean, like nearly all my uncles and aunties kind of took over Morant Bay in St. Thomas and had a restaurant, a bar of some sort or another, or a nightclub. They were all successful. Some of them had to just shut up shop and go back home and retire, like just relax. And then others were really successful. That was their thing. And my parents I came back to England at about 18, and my parents ran their business until I buried them.
So would you say, or there's the connection from kind of what you were growing up and being around people in business? Do you think that's probably what started your journey into that? How did your business start, your career start?
No, I made a pledge to myself that I would never ever go into business. As a teen.
Yeah.
Two things I said. I said I'd never marry a Jamaican and I'd never go into business.
I'll come back to marrying a Jamaican, but
yeah. Anyway, but I didn't acknowledge, I found I had all this what do you call it? Unconscious knowledge. I ended up working in enterprise. Well, I did 4 years studying finance. Let's put it that way. And then I did a BA in communications and my master's in communications and arts and drama and all that kind of stuff. So technically, I've got a master's in production and should have been working at the BBC now. But hey,
maybe you could set up your own, not BBC. I mean, your own.
Now.
Okay, it's never too late.
No, but yeah. I mean, yeah. I've still got the same organizational skills you need for production. Yes. Yeah. But yeah. So when I did the finance, I ended up working in marketing a lot, and I started out working in the third sector. I've never liked the corporates. The city. It's just not for me, really. I don't like that kind of environment. And then I ended up working in Southwark for about 10 years. I managed a community facility independently, and it was a income generating and community. So I had to I had office space, set up a cafe in there, and then there were community organizations using it. And so I had all these management skills, all these kind of management skills that were latent, if you like, and from academic training. And then I ended up I got a job managing a really well funded program funded by the Learning and Skills Council, first of its type, to provide business support, biz skills. I branded it. It was the e-skills in Lambeth College. It ran out of Lambeth College in the business development unit. And that's where I got my teeth really sunk into small business support. And at the time, I thought so some of our partners were like Business Skills, the Chamber of Commerce, Southwark Chamber of Commerce, Lambeth Chamber, and various different agencies were stakeholders. But I just didn't like how they were treating black businesses. I just felt like black businesses weren't getting a fair crack of the whip. And also the banks were really, well, they still are, I suppose. Their banks were really, how do you describe them? Anyway, I'd come across banks saying things like, there might be somebody from West Africa who would set up a particular kind of business, selling a particular kind of food, and they'd remortgage their house to the tune of about 50 grand. They just need a little bit more to make up to get their stuff going. And the bank would say, well, who's going to eat that anyway? And I'm like, well, it's not you eating it. It's what to do for you. The man's done his demographics. And another guy who was really good was there's a chocolatier in Croydon. He was absolutely excellent, that guy. His chocolates were divine. And, he really struggled with the bank. So the banks were so discriminate around supporting black business. So that was one thing. And then it was just the whole thing about business advice. In those days, the culture was, unless you'd been trading for over 3 years, you're not entitled to business advice. I thought that was a lot of garbage. And I had colleagues, some of who were ex-bankers, ex-bank tellers. They came into the industry and they were telling me that I was stupid because I wanted to set up a business which was all about giving support to people in the community who needed advice and starting up a business. And they were like, oh, where are you going to do that? No one's going to pay you. I said, well, there must be a way. There must be a way. And then they were like, well, if somebody wants to start a business, they ought to know how to write a business plan. I'm like, why? If somebody can make dresses or make cakes, or why should they know how to start? Why should they know how to write a business plan? I don't understand. I can't sew to save my life, but I can write a business plan. Do you know what I mean? It's just crazy that people would think that just because you're starting a business or because you have a skill or you're a plumber and you want to go independent, that somehow you should know all the machinations of running a business. So anyway, I took my I was on the board of Southwark Council Strategic Planning or Economic Planning Development, whatever they call it. And I took my proposal to them. I was a bit nervous. I was nervous. And I took my proposal to them, and it was accepted. Woohoo.
Yeah.
And then I went home and I nearly wet myself because I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this because I've got all these big companies. I mean, One London, for example, One London was just a subsidiary of some massive arms company, you know, and I was like, oh my God, I'm competing against these people.
Yeah.
So yes, I was really nervous, but yeah, I just did my thing. I branded a service called Enterprise for Women.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of my flagship brand. Although I provided services to everybody, but that was one of my flagship brands, and I just delivered my thing, exceeded my outputs, and probably
Wow.
undercharged. Now I'm older and wiser.
And wiser, yeah.
So they were always giving me a contract next year. Yeah, so if I said I was going to deliver to 80 women for the year, I'd probably deliver to 100. But my unit costs were nowhere near what they should have been in terms of money.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. But well done to you. Kind of like challenging and stepping in your power as well.
But even in those days, my upbringing in the business, I saw no relationship between the two. It was even much later than that I actually think, oh, hold on a minute.
It's almost ingrained in you from quite young, wasn't it? But unconsciously, So what kind of can you tell just a broad range of what kind of businesses do you work with? And what's been your biggest success story so far in terms of businesses that you've helped, people you've helped?
Oh, you mean? Well, no, I don't have a story in terms of somebody's a multimillionaire, because that's not my that's never been my ambition.
But the people that you've supported, yes.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the businesses that are still going. Women in the beauty industry. There's one caterer that she started out as a caterer. A caterer, yeah. Then she ended up doing big sort of jobs in the West End, and then she ended up working in schools, doing. I think she went into schools showing children how to cook.
That's a good thing. I think we need one of those in every school.
Yeah,
because children are not learning to cook at home.
Yeah, so there were people healthy foods. I think she went in to do, and she produced a product, chin chin, for shops. She produced. Yeah, she ended up producing. Because you don't always maintain contact. One of the other things I'm really proud of. One of my colleagues from back then sent me this. I remember I wrote helped this woman. She said write her a mini business plan for, I think it was NatWest, and she was in the papers last year or this year I think. She won an award. She's in Sydenham. She's a florist, and I think she won an award for floristry for good service or something. So I was like, wow, South Norwood. So I don't always know what's happened, but if Nadia Jones, who's a fantastic woman, and she was the first business advisor Levi Roots saw. She's just fantastic in the field. Really cares about small black businesses as well. Yeah. And she was the one who pinged me and said, "Look what happened," because Nadia was also working with this woman, I can't remember her name now, and she's a friend of Nadia's. But yeah, so it was nice to see that in the papers. It was in the papers and everything, in the Metro, I think. So that was nice to see. Yeah,
great.
So yeah, I mean, it's I'm sure that there are many people all over the place. There's another guy who does he does what do you call it, moringa, yes, powder, yeah. I mean, he's still going. He's going from strength to strength with his products. Yeah, so there are people all over the place, to be honest. People I don't know, people I don't even remember. People might say, "Oh, I remember you," and I'm like, "Okay," and they're like,
because you're around everywhere.
Yeah,
as in the countries and even worldwide as well. So there's a lot going on, so for people to come back. Yeah,
I'm really proud of amazing work. My work in Ghana, when I went to Ghana the for work. I went to Ghana for holiday to visit the first time in '94, but the first time I went for work, I worked with an organization, I can't forget them, an organization called Street Children Foundation. And at the time, they had an older man in there, an elder, and they had this young chap. And the elder was just stuck in a groove, you know. And I've named the organization, so I can't say too much more. Okay. So let me just swiftly move on. Okay. So the young man had really progressive ideas. And so I was really pleased to be able to work with this young man who a decade on has done fantastic things with the organization. And at the time, I didn't even know street children was a thing. I didn't even know there were generational street children. I had to do a lot of research. And I've gone back. I've taken my friend from America, Dr. Anita Davis Defoe, who's similar to myself in terms of wanting to help the Black community. And I took her to Ghana to volunteer, to just help. We did some training with women. They set up some stuff also working with parents in the community. And it's just amazing work. And then there's people I know from here have gone to Ghana who, independent of me, have joined this organization of patrons. And so Paul Seme is the guy who runs it now. But it's nice. He got married last year or something. Just those things just make me really, really proud. Those are the things that I'm interested in.
Great. Thank you, Yvonne. I'm going to finish it there, but I'll pass you on to the other host, Sandra, and she's going to ask you a few questions as well. So thank you very much.
Welcome, Yvonne. You're doing a great job. Great. Listen, it's lovely hearing what you're saying and that you can help people. But listen, you've started to write a series of books for businesses, and the first of which is called Cracking the Nut, which I did read this week, and I did send some feedback to you. Can you tell us more about it?
Well, do you remember, are any of you old enough to remember The Real McCoy?
Definitely old enough, because I actually went back to the clip and watched it and had a laugh as well. So
hello, yes. Even I watched this week because I was sending it to someone who's asked me to speak, and I said, "Can you play this clip for me?" Before, and I was cracking up, and that was only 2 nights ago. It's just so bad. It's funny, isn't it? But I don't know. I mean, where do you go with this? Anyway, so I've been bothered about it because obviously I've been working with lots of Black businesses over the years, and even the same. No, I can't say where because that will identify people. But anyway, so for example, no street, no area. So for example, there's a woman who opened a boutique, and she opened the boutique, but then you'd go there at 10 o'clock and it's not open on a Wednesday. You'd go there on a Friday morning. Do you know what I mean? It's like
there's no customer service.
No consistency, and so that but and then the whole cook shop thing. I mean, it's just lived experience, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, we've all been to the restaurants where, and it's not all of them. There are some good ones out there, but I know of them where you go in and they've advertised every patty on the list. But when I ask for one, they don't have any one of those. Then at least put a sign up to say we don't have any patties. I would have to ask for every flavour, and you tell me that you don't have it. So we've all been in those restaurants.
And it's the way you're made to feel like you're being a bother, though, isn't it? That's
definitely,
the thing, isn't it?
Definitely. And I've also had my hair done in those hairdressers where I've sat for hours, or my appointment's at 10, but I'm getting my hair done at 1, and I've sat in there for that long. So I understand, but they're not all like that because there's good and bad. And obviously, hopefully they get the guidance. But what do you think underpins this kind of customer service attitude? What do you?
So I did an academic paper for a conference. There's I can't remember but Enterprise something have an annual conference, an international conference around entrepreneurship, but it's mainly on the training and academic side of things. And I did a paper, and I was surprised that. Well, not surprised. I shouldn't be surprised. But anyway, I made my submission to Manchester University, was accepted, and my paper was around service versus servitude. And my question was at the time, do some of us, black people, conflate service with servitude? And is that the reason for our attitude? And then as I did the research, I found out there were other things going on. Like, when you write in a paper, you're like, okay, so that's my thinking. I did some market research. I did a survey monkey thing, threw that out. I was surprised to find Americans saying the same thing. Even last month, some African Americans, Clubhouse brings you in contact with all kind of people. And some African Americans were telling me that they were having similar issues in certain spaces and places. Caribbean people living in America, there was a video of a man cussing because he'd driven all this way to some Caribbean, Jamaican grocery store. And when him going out to the and the man they even said how to do to him and vexing, pack up him car and him, of course, because he's saying how he drives so far and the people that, how they treat it. And this is current, this is contemporary. So I've always wanted to raise this issue, but not knowing how to raise it, because it's like, well, an academic paper, I could have published it, but it is published, but I mean, it's not going to reach the people that I want it to reach.
Yeah.
So for years, it's been like plaguing me. How do I address this issue? And I decided to write a book which was accessible using storytelling. I did a cybersecurity boot. I know this is even. I did a cybersecurity boot camp. I applied, they let me in. I particularly wanted to focus on cybersecurity. I know I'm coming back to the topic, the point. I wanted to focus on cybersecurity and relationship crime, that kind of thing. But anyway, the point is, when I studied cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is so dry, and people know, regular folk need to know about it, and I was kind of being channeled into doing it for small business, but I don't really want to do that. I don't feel I have the energy for it, although there's lots of money in it right now, and somebody should do it. But anyway, one of the things I found out was that storytelling was a methodology for communicating the technical stuff around cyber. And I thought to myself, maybe I can use storytelling to convey this story around customer service. So that's how the book came up, because and I've introduced the notion of service versus servitude and all the other issues around, low paid workers, the fact that some workers might be the papers are so strict, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then there is the issue of how we are treated in society, and then somebody open a shop and think they're King Kong, so they can talk to people anyhow, they can treat their staff anyhow, and so I think it's complex. It's not just one thing.
No. I do certainly understand that, and I think even walking into a shop, I'd like to see somebody perhaps not holding their mobile when I go, and it doesn't matter who you are, and it's not even a specific place. It's not a Jamaican restaurant. It's not a Scottish restaurant. It's just, it can be a random place. What messages do you want readers to take from the book? And I've got an idea. I almost imagine that you getting this book and dropping it into businesses and letting them read it, selling it to them. And it's just a simple story, but it makes absolute sense. So what message are you trying to get to your readers of this?
My central message is that we're under threat. We're under threat because of competition. What's that? I don't want to name any business, but this I think guy from Malaysia or somewhere opened up a chain of pseudo Caribbean restaurants all over the country, and when you go in, it's all themed. They've appropriated reggae theme, Bob Marley images, and corrugated iron and all kind of stuff. And I just think that if we need our community needs wealth. Without it, we can't advocate for much. We can't advocate for much for our youth, for our elderly. We're in a bit of a tight spot at the minute. And so we need wealth. Our community needs wealth. And that's my central theme. I'm saying there are things we can do. There are things we don't have any control over, but there are things we can do to make our businesses more sustainable. the failure rate for business is rocket high. I mean, it's just people. It's 30 odd pounds to register a company in the UK. 30 odd quid. It's the simplest place I think on earth to register a business in this country. I don't know anywhere else in the world where you can register a business, so it's simple.
Yeah.
Okay, really, really easy. No, I've yet to see anywhere else in the world where you can register a business so easy. So it's nothing. Anybody can get up tomorrow, call themselves director, and they do. They call themselves director, and it doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely jack. And so people are sort of on this tip at the moment where everyone's got a business, and what you doing? I'm running a business. Oh yeah, right, okay, and that's about it. And so that's just not going to sustain us. We need to work together. We need to build communities of business. In the book, I've shown how loving and warm and close our community can be, and is, how we support each other. Some people have got blowback from the book saying, you know, I shouldn't be talking about poor service um, as if it's a private thing, you know, all this nonsense. But if I don't talk about it, who's going to talk about it? It has to be spoken about. It has to be seen as something that we can repair, we can fix. You know, there's lots of great businesses out there giving absolutely fabulous service. There's no question about that. But as somebody very prominent who I asked to review the book said to me, he's not reviewing it because he doesn't have bad customer service. And I said to him, yeah, but there are sections of our community that have bad customers. And this is all done on LinkedIn in notes. It's something I can share if I chose to. And he said to me, yeah, but only the cook shop laugh out loud. And I was like, yeah, but it's them met out boards. You know, what do you mean only the cook shop?
But
You know,
it's not.
it's like the cook shop people don't remortgage their house to open. They don't borrow money. They don't take out they don't use their partner money. Why is he laughing and saying, well, I'm going to cook shop them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's not just them, is
Yeah.
it really? And the
Well,
other thing,
but even if it is just them, I'm concerned about grassroots people. But then that's the problem, isn't it? Some of us who become prominent because of TV exposure become so far up their backside that they forget that people at the margins, black people at the margins, their businesses need to survive. And if you're a person of influence, you ought to be concerned and ought to want to help. Not tell me about you're not gonna review my book because as far as you're concerned, you've never had any problems with black. No, you're not gonna have a problem with black because everybody know your name. You've been on TV, so who's gonna treat you bad? You know what I mean? We can get so into our own skin. So I said to him, not a problem, not a problem. You know, I'll press on, but I'm talking about the same cook shop them that you're talking about. So that's my thing. It's about the reason for the book is about getting people to understand that it's not a joke thing. The latest thing that's happened, you know, the latest report out now about the hairdressers. All the high street hairdressers are going to be doing black hair. Now, black hairdressers on the high street could have employed black hairdressers at any point in history. And I see black people on LinkedIn, black women on LinkedIn celebrate, even somebody who runs a positivity campaign for natural hair, celebrating on LinkedIn how this is wonderful because now black women can walk into any salon on the high street and get their hair done. How is that a good thing though for black hairdressers? How? You tell me how now.
it's a difficult one, isn't it? But the thing is, it is a very difficult one, and we certainly need to make changes where we can, and hopefully help the people, you know, perhaps the black hairdressers that need support. But what would you consider are the two most important bits of advice you'd give to someone just starting a business now? If it was a black hairdresser, what advice would you give now? Two most important.
They need to understand that without customers, they don't have a business. And then they need to understand also that the landscape is changing. Okay, now what has sustained black businesses with poor service is the fact that people need the product. I buy food from a particular place, and I don't go in there because they're kind, pleasant, and friendly. I go in there because she cook good. When you eat her oxtail is beyond. I mean, it's just nice. I cook really good, but the time it takes and all that stuff. I mean, please, you know. So I go there for that reason, and people people go to a hairdresser, when I used to go to hairdressers and stuff, or if I do get my roots done, you go to a hairdresser because they can do your hair. It's not always because there's somebody that a place that you're comfortable in or anything like that. You suffer the weight. You suffer the weight.
Because you want to get your hair done. But,
you want to get your hair done, yeah. So they need to acknowledge. I think the advice I would say is, you need to really think about how you relate to your customers. People come to a salon, you go in there year after year after year, and nobody acknowledges that you've been propping them up for 3 years.
No,
Maurice Roots salon, when he started, he before, I think he had, when he was opening the 3rd branch, I think I was a customer of his, and he invited me to run customer service training for all his staff, and I did on a Sunday morning. I think we did it on 2 Sunday mornings. I run customer service stuff for all his staff, and he invested in an appointment system, an electronic appointment system. He also set up a system where, I mean, this was, Maurice Roots has been going for a while. I call him the Rolls Royce of Afro-Caribbean hairdressers. Natural hair. He also set up a system where staff are supposed to offer people a drink when they come in, and lots of different things around how his staff are supposed to treat customers. And I haven't been there for a while, but just simply because of where I am location-wise, and I've also been living overseas for a while as well. But I ask people all the time, what's your experience when you go there? And most of the time people say it's good. I mean, I also appreciate new stuff come, and then they may not have the same training. I don't know how it's perpetuated now. But people need to invest in making sure if they have a lot of staff, that their staff are trained, and
definitely important, and good customer service is important. I'm going to pass you over to Suzy now, because I know that she's got perhaps a million questions to ask you, but good customer service is so important, and I like good customer service. So thank you very much. So over to you, Suzy.
Thank you, Sandra. Yvonne, it's so nice to talk to you and listen to you, and I feel like I'm in the company of an old friend, because years ago I used to
old.
The friendship's old.
I'm old as well, mate. So
it's so nice. Yeah, so nice to talk to you. But there are many issues around setting up a business, and I've set up a few. And I worked years ago with a small business service, the London Enterprise Scheme, and all of those things with Dr. Yvonne Thompson, and lots of those things. Looking at access to finance. So I've been in that world. And I mean, the changes I see, the positive changes I see, are things like Black Pound Day.
Yes.
So there is an awareness that we need to put our money where our growth should be.
Absolutely.
And I think it's an interesting one, because you get certain retailers or product development people who will have, let's say, a jerk chicken sauce that's now on sale in Sainsbury's. So that's an interesting one, because that makes the individual more wealthy, perhaps, but it makes the retailers and wholesalers more wealthy. So that money kind of goes then back into the established, retail chain. Although that might work well for that person. But I'm just thinking in terms of, Black Pound Day, what other things can we do to invest in ourselves and our communities? Obviously, the customer service is one end, but what else can we do?
I think what's missing at the moment is our inability to trust each other. I think we have to work together. I don't think there's any way around it. There is we cannot continue to use a system which doesn't serve us. And we're all born here and enculturated into this particular way of being, way of working. We need to find different ways of working, Ubuntu style, different ways of working which are more in line with our heritage, historical heritage. It's not working for us. Back in the 60s and 50s and 40s, when our parents came, yes, I know I'm going back, but some cultures said you have to go back to go forward. They had partners. They had things. They had community savings. People somehow managed to live together and support each other to get another property. We can't. We can barely even talk to each other. We can barely even have a little falling out with each other before we ghost each other. badmouth each other. There's no trust. And I believe one of the things I'm working on is a program of training that looks at the trauma, our generational trauma, and the stuff that's blocking us from working with each other. And so I'm working on some programs to incorporate that sort of element of I don't want to call it training, element of conversation, or element of development, leadership, if you like, leadership, in terms of how we lead and how we manage and how we operate, how we function, because this individualism and single-mindedness and stuff, it's not working for us. It's not working. We've done it. We've been here for generations now, and we're kind of not. We're still putting other communities' children through private school. We're still, stomping into other communities' shops, asking them why they fiddled the expiry date on a tin of ackee. But ackee is such a poisonous food. Why are we even buying food from them? Why are we even allowing people to sell us food, which when they fiddle the dates on the tin can poison us and seriously make us ill? Why are we giving when black people have shops and the planting rotten, the planting's going off. The planting overripe. Let's put it that way, not rotten, it overripe. We say we can't buy it. We can't buy it because the plant overripe, and the other shop selling it a bit cheaper. When I say to people, yes, but do you realize that the person, if you don't buy the plant, yes, it's going to stay there overripe, and yes, you will always get it cheaper from a penny. You might always get a penny cheaper from the next shop because they probably bought it cheaper, and their cousin controls the distribution of our food. But we don't care. We're not politicized in that way. All we can think about, we're going to save a penny. Because even when we have money, we have this mentality of lack. So we're struggling on all different fronts, because sometimes we're not even lacking that much, but we have the mentality of lack. So we believe we don't have it. So to spend one more penny or 5 pence more to buy the planting to enable this person who looks like you is a big thing, because you're going to save 5 pence, 10 pence. I don't care if you save a pound. I still think you need to buy it within your own community, because you don't see anybody else. There's no other community doing what we do. Yeah, nobody.
Exactly. And when you said about this intergenerational trauma, what you're talking about, and something I wanted to pick you up on. You said earlier about when you were charging your rates out as a consultant, you were over committing yourself. So training 80 women, 100 women rather than 80. So always underselling yourself. And a lot of consultants or coaches or solopreneurs, for want of a better word, who are black women, are very guilty of that. Always kind of giving away their services because they want to be kind, they want to be helpful, they want to help each other, and if it's counselling, whatever, completely underselling their service. So what's that all about, and how did you recover from that?
Okay, so what that's about is that when you start out in business, I don't care who you are, unless you're really arrogant or you have a decent business plan. There's two things, yeah. And even then, you will still have insecurities about charging, because people are not clear. People are often not clear about what to charge as a new business. And when it comes to for me personally, contracting with local government, I didn't have anyone to talk to find out. I kind of did my costings, and of course I did it so that I made a profit. But it's later on I realized I could have made a lot more. I could have charged a lot more. So when I say undercharge, I don't mean that I went without or I didn't make good money. I was turning over a six figure income. Okay, but I realized I'm going to turn over more of that 6-figure income as I went along. But yes, I do have lots of clients, people every day struggle with this thing about what to charge. It's about insecurity. And it's
How
about,
do we get over that as Black women business owners? How
Black women need to stop being the caretaker, you know, stop giving their tit to everybody. You know, one, I'm not a strong Black woman, and we need to let that go, that strong Black woman foolishness. We need to let that one go. We need support, we need money, we need love, we need care, we need mentoring, we need everything. We need it just like everybody else. Okay, so the strong Black woman thing, allow that. If you want to give support, give services to friends and family, do a mates rate. Friends and family are the worst things when you have a business. They're just the worst. I mean, you know, they expect everything for, and it's not just for Black people; it's for everybody. Even the woman who does some stuff for me, she's white, and she was saying that her family, they want it cheap, and then when she said, "Look, you know, you have to pay a particular rate," they don't come again. So it's not even unique to us. It's just the way friends and family abuse people when when they're delivering a service.
But it must be something particular to women, how we still need to change our own mindset in terms
because men will fake it. Men will. One of the reasons why I focus my energies around women is because men will just
make it up.
It's like applying for a job. A man will apply for a job that he can do 50% of the stuff that's on there in terms of what needs to be done.
Yes.
Women will look at it and want to be able to do 100% or 90% or 80% minimum. You know, they're still thinking, I can only do 80% of the things that are on here.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I like to explain it in that way.
Yes.
So we're just more honest, I suppose, and less arrogant.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say we're less confident. I don't want to demean women in that way, but I'm just saying we're just different. We're different, and I accept that we're different. And so we need support. Women need support. We often, when women are working from home, they're dumped on. You know, you can look after this. You can look after that. You're not going anywhere, are you? You're not working. Even their sister will say, "You need to collect that from the post office for me because you're at home. The kid needs picking up from school.
Yeah, you're at home.
It's just it's not fair. So women do have a lot to contend with. But I always say to new businesses, think about where you're positioned in the market in terms of pricing. Are you a Lidl? Are you a Marks and Spencer? Are you a Sainsbury's? Are you a Tesco? Are you a Waitrose? How do where do you position yourself in the market? And you know, if you say you're a Harvey Nicks, then your products and services have to reflect that.
Yes.
You can't call yourself a Harvey Nicks or want to position yourself there and sell to people who buy from Harvey Nicks without your services and business reflecting that. So
Absolutely.
that's what it's about. You need to match your services need to match the client that you and it takes work to find out who's your ideal client, where do they shop, how do they spend, what appeals to them, what's going to appeal to them, you know, from a service point of view. How does your premises need to look? How does your word, your brochure, how do you reach them? Somebody, Neville said, "Don't leave men out." No, Neville, we're not leaving men out. We're not leaving men out at all, Neville. Men are very much on
a final note. On a final note, Yvonne, so you do so many things. So you're on your purpose. You're living your purpose. So what's next for you? What comes next?
What comes next? I don't know. I mean, I'm so keen on doing some international work. I'm in this international group of women, women, looking at leadership and entrepreneurship for young people. And I'm representing Jamaica, and we met yesterday, and there's women from the Caribbean islands and Nigeria, all over the world, and Anita, who's in America, she's kind of spearheading this. Sherry Dixon, who you may well know, she's in Guyana. She's also on this forum. It's called the G100. So yes, I'm looking forward to doing more international work through that forum. I'm really looking forward to developing my new leadership program, which incorporates generational trauma. Nobody does teeth my idea because I've said it here.
I've made a note of that.
It's on record.
Yeah, it's on record. Yeah, don't even try it. Okay, so it looks at generational trauma in terms of leadership, and I'm a consultant with the Ubeli Initiative, fantastic organization that I'm really proud to work with. And I'm leading on, working with somebody that's leading on the National Program for Enterprise Development with the Social Investment Bank and Access. So yeah, I'm quite busy. And then I've got my books now. I'm working on putting this book in Audible format. And I've done an upgrade of the title, which is available. It's called Customer Service in the Black-Owned Business, because I want to reach the USA market.
Yes.
And I thought that would hit the USA market better. So the cover's been changed. The concept is the same.
Yes.
And so I found an Audible speaker. So yeah, just not.
If you want me to read it, let me know, because I do voiceovers. So if you need a reader,
Do you?
let me know.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So I
Do it you have to do it in a Jamaican accent.
Well, I have a Jamaican.
It's like one love.
No, she's read the book. She knows she doesn't have to.
But you've got to be raw with that. You've got to be raw, proper twang.
Have you got a studio?
I do it at home.
Yeah, we've got a home studio.
Because me and my daughter do voices. I'm sorry, guys, if we're talking about work, we'll do it behind the scenes later on. But yeah, I can talk to you afterwards, definitely.
Yeah, so that's what I'm up to. I'm sure there's some stuff I've left out, but yes, I try to keep busy.
Fantastic.
There's a lot of stuff you've left out, Yvonne, but we haven't got time. We're running short of time, so there's lots of things you've been involved in: menopause, events, and you've done things on.
Oh yes, the menopause thing is quite serious. Yes.
Yes, it is.
I host these talks on sex and menopause.
That's right. Yes, you do. Like let's talk. And I know that you're kind of like, listen, the things that we're kind of frightened of or move away from. Yeah. There's so much. That's what I'm saying.
Of women who've never looked at their children though. That's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. Women in their 50s who have no idea. I mean, it's
what it looks like.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's a whole new show.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
I'll bring some colleagues with me on to talk about that.
And bring your small mirrors. Okay. Anyway, that's it. Yvonne, it's been absolutely fabulous talking to you. And like I said, I knew that we weren't going to have enough time to kind of talk about a lot of the things that you've done. Just something as you were talking, this is totally unrelated to any of the questions. I'm just going to throw this out there. Sandra's usually the one that does this, and she's really good at it. But my son again said to me, and we were driving along a few days ago in the car. He's like, "Mom," I was like, "Yeah." I said, "If you could get a free plane ticket, where would you go?" And that's to everybody. Have a think, because I was kind of stuck. There's quite a few places I couldn't work out whether I wanted to be in the Caribbean or So where would you go?
Free plane ticket, and they're providing accommodation or just a ticket?
Just the. No, Yvonne, you're
businesswoman, spoken like a true businesswoman.
Oh, really? Really? Yeah. No, I need to know if there's transport costs involved and accommodation. And
all right. Okay, let's throw all that in then. Where would you go?
If you throw all that in,
because I can throw in anything that I want. It's just a question.
Yeah, if you throw all that in, then I think I want to go to. I want to visit some more African countries. There's 50 odd, and I've only been to about 5. So I don't know, maybe Kenya or Zimbabwe or just another African country. I'm not sure which one.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Sandra?
I think Japan for me. I'll go to Japan. And I'm going to go to Japan anyway, but it will be Japan.
That's my second one, yeah.
Okay. Wouldn't have thought of that. What about you, Suzy?
It will be.
Yeah, me, it would be, if I could stay for a few days, it would have to be a tour of South Africa for me.
Yeah. It would have, for me, it would have been one of the African countries, and I think it would have been Egypt for me, and I think that's just because of the history.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that people talk about Egypt and going on the cruise on the Nile. I don't want to do a visitors.
No, you want to...
like a touristy thing. I'm kind of quite into Egyptian artifacts and things. I'd like to go there and do an archaeological dig. That sounds a bit boring, but that would be.
That's not boring.
No, I know for some people, like if you're going away on holidays, like, but for me, that would be a holiday. It would be a holiday for me because it's something that I just really, I've read so much about it and, seen the artifacts that have been taken away from there all over the world that have been put and stuff like that. But I'd want to do it, be part of a group of people doing that, to be connected to that.
I want to visit the dancehall people in Japan.
Oh
Really?
That looks really good.
I only want to go to Japan for that reason. I want to go right where the dancehall people are.
Yes,
It looks brilliant. It looks brilliant.
I just can't believe it. I just can't. I just want to get underneath what the fascination is with Jamaica dancehall music.
I know.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's new.
Did you not know that?
And someone's just put up on there. Is it Mabelli? I couldn't quite catch the name. So they would choose Brazil. Love Brazil.
Oh, Brazil's lovely. Oh my God, it's
how
gorgeous.
ideal is that now? Carnival,
Gorgeous.
which should have been happening here. Brazil Carnival. Wow.
Amazing. Or maybe a plane going back to Nigeria with the Benin bronzes on it. That would be a good trip, wouldn't it? That would be a celebration.
Brazil is pretty. Sao Paulo is gorgeous, though. If you could, I went there for work. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Great question.
Yes. So we've come to a close. Unfortunately, time just goes so quickly every time, and we could sit and chat all day. As women, we like chatting. But just want to say, Yvonne, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing parts of your work, parts of your life, and the things that you've been involved in. Really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. There's a lot more to you, and I know that. And maybe you could come back again and join us again and just kind of give us a little bit more of the other things that we haven't had time to talk about. But
I wonder what they were. I remember menopause brain. I told you.
I've got a list. But before we finish for today, I just want to say thank you to anyone who is listening. Thank you for joining us. And our next Women's LIK show will be on the Sunday, the 29th of September.
26th. That is not the 29th. It's 26th.
My apologies. Listen to Sandra. My menopause brain is kicked in. So it's the 26th of September. Have I got the right month? And it'll be in 2021. And will we be at the usual time, which would have been 3:00? I guess we will. We will be. We're at 12 noon today, just because of bank holiday. So it'll be the 26th September at 3:00. We'll be joining them. I'll not be there because I'll be away doing on a course. So for now, everyone who's listening, thank you very much for joining us. And Yvonne, thank you again. Bye from us.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Yvonne.